This is the Hiking Through Life podcast. We've all been gifted a journey called life. Let's see where the journey leads us today. Welcome to the Hiking Through Life podcast, where we talk with people who in some way, shape, or form have been influenced by the outdoors. I'm Andy, the producer of this podcast, and my lovely wife Sarah will be your host. Together, we make up Hiking Through Life.
This podcast is all about bringing all kinds of people who are inspired by the outdoors and sharing their stories.
We hope that by sharing people's stories, it inspires others to get out and live a more meaningful life. Tune in every week for new episodes, or better yet, subscribe to the Hiking Through Life podcast on your favorite podcast provider. If you enjoy this podcast, please share it with others. Also, if you have a story to share or know of anyone who might be interested in being a guest on this podcast, head on over to hikingthroughlife.net/podcast and get in touch with us. Now sit back and enjoy this week's episode.
Today we have Emily and Berty Mandagie on the podcast. They are an outdoor adventure team who are also partners in life. Together, they are a dynamic duo living the travel blogger life full-time. They travel to beautiful places, mostly in the Pacific Northwest, share insider tips of off-the-beaten-path places, and share fresh perspectives on living an authentic life of adventure. We are really excited to hear your guys' story today. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so I kind of just want each of you to talk about your childhood and growing up, what the outdoor lifestyle was like for each of you. I know Berty grew up in Indonesia, so I think that'll be a cool perspective to hear.
Yeah, my name is Berty, and I did grow up in Indonesia. I moved to the U.S. when I was 12 years old, so I was fairly young when I was there. We had like some beaches and stuff, but we were never like big hikers because a lot of the hikes in Indonesia was like, you know, in a jungle, like a rainforest, and it's pretty like the trail is not maintained. So like my dad never took us hiking in those kind of places, but we've been to like volcanoes and stuff, and we did travel a lot because my dad, he was a sailor. So we would visit a lot of the islands. In Indonesia, there's 13,000 islands. So like that's like our vacation pretty much. We just sailed with him and just got our sense of adventure from that, I guess. But when I moved to the US, I lived with my uncle and my aunt. My uncle is a big hiker, like huge, like anytime, you know, like I don't have a gear, he would take me to REI. He would spend so much money on gear and he just doesn't care if it comes to outdoor gear. But with anything in life, he's like, make sure he saves all his money, which is so funny to see. But so we would always have the nicest gears, you know, nicest tent. We were just always prepared, and we would go backpacking, hiking, camping pretty much every weekend in the summer.
And so when you moved here, like, did you move without your parents and went to live with your aunt and uncle?
I did. So my aunt is my mom's younger sister. Long story short, she couldn't have any kids, so she asked my mom if she could adopt me or my brother. My brother didn't want to, so I volunteered myself. And I lived with my aunt. And legally, she's my mom in the U.S., so she like legitimately adopted me. And then my uncle is just someone she married, I guess. But he's an American.
Just someone who loves REI.
Yes, someone who loves REI, the outdoor. Yeah, he was like a part of the like Mount Rainier hiking club, all these things. So I got introduced to the outdoor very quickly. I had never seen snow before, and the first time I saw snow is he took me skiing. That was really fun too. So
cool. That's so cool that they wanted to welcome you over and show you life here. I love that.
100%. Yeah, they're really fun.
Was that in Washington then?
Yes, that was just 30 minutes north of Seattle in Everett, Washington. Yeah.
Okay.
Always been a Washington guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Emily?
So I grew up here in Spokane, Washington. Berty and I met in college in Seattle, but I guess my outdoor experiences started with my family. My dad was really, really big on camping trips, and we would go every Memorial Day weekend. We'd go every summer, like all the weekends. We would go camping with all my friends from school. And so I just have really fond memories of like all the parents playing like card games around the picnic table. And then us kids are like biking loops around the campground, you know, just like playing until it was so dark outside we couldn't see anymore. So I just had a lot of fond memories growing up camping with my family. It wasn't necessarily like backpacking, but we would take like the trailer and the tent and just make it a big event. It was really fun. So I definitely loved camping from a young age. And now that we're married and we've kind of like are starting those traditions ourselves, we're kind of doing more like backpacking, backcountry trips. And that has been really fun to do as well. So that's kind of where my outdoor life had started.
Yeah, I can totally relate to like being at the campsites and like circling the campgrounds. Like that's where I grew up, like camping too, just like at the campgrounds with my family, is sitting around the fire. Very overcrowded campgrounds, but that's just like the good old memories that I have, and what it sounds like you have too.
Oh yeah.
And that's like where it starts.
Yeah, it's like totally a really accessible way to just get started camping because it's not scary. The bathrooms are right there. There's like a water spigot over here, so you don't have to like worry about all those things. You just go and enjoy, and yeah, that's how you get started. It's fun.
I know. That's what I always tell my friends who like are so anti-outdoors. I'm like, you can ease into it with a shower and with a bathroom.
Yeah, or you can even like go to a state park and rent like a cabin or a yurt. That's even like more comfy and cozy. Sometimes there's like a bed that you can sleep in. So
exactly. Or you can just go camp in your backyard like you guys just posted on your blog.
Yeah, that's right.
100%.
It's totally accessible. You can just go right outside. And the bonus is you can go inside and make your coffee in the morning.
Yeah, I love that. That was so cute. That blog was just so fun. We still haven't like officially camped in our backyard during quarantine, but that inspired me to do so. We have the same tent as you guys.
Oh, do you
that's
really?
awesome.
It's such a light,
so easy to set up.
one.
Yeah, set up in like 2 seconds. It's amazing.
It really is. It's the greatest.
Yeah. So you two met in college, like early on in college, or?
So we're actually 2
years
classes apart. So he was a senior and I was a sophomore.
Yeah.
And we met through, we both went to the same church and there was like a college ministry. And so we were both involved in that. And he was the worship leader playing the guitar and I was just attending. So anyways, our friend groups like collided and we had the most fun together. And
that was the time when I started getting into photography too. So I would like ask Emily to be like, hey, do you want to go on this hike at like 6 a.m. and none of my friends would do it. I live with like 9 other guys and they're all like, nah man, it's my Saturday, I want to sleep in. It was kind of like an excuse to get closer to Emily and kind of hang out more. And Emily would always be down. So like it's like, okay, sweet. So we were friends for like
a year.
9 months, about 9-10 months before we started dating. But yeah, that was really fun too.
Well, and don't you just find that like when you're like going on these like hikes or whatever with someone, like that's like the best time to connect with a person?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
100%.
I definitely, even like Berty aside, I have had like the deepest conversations with people closest to me when we're hiking on the trail. I feel like it's less intimidating that way because you're like either side by side or front to back and you're not like staring at the person and seeing how they're like reacting to the information. I feel like that's way more like accessible to do that. I totally agree with you.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So met in college and then it was kind of just onward from there.
Yeah. So I had 2 more years of school. So we dated. And in between that, I mean, I was just going to school, but then Berty was kind of getting his photography, his business off the ground.
I was doing it part-time at the time because I studied at UW to be a teacher and I studied history and education. I was teaching and then having my photography business on the side for about 2 years.
That's when I started taking Instagram pretty seriously too. And he would, host Insta meets and hang out with all these other Instagrammers in Seattle. And it looked really fun. When I graduated, we got married and then I started working a regular 9 to 5 and he got his photography business off the ground. And so he started doing that full time. And
then you get jealous.
Yeah, then I got jealous.
Yeah. I think I heard another podcast you were working as a nanny. Is that right?
I was, yes. And actually that was the best situation. First of all, I love the family, but it was the perfect like timing for everything, because that is when I kind of started to foster my blog, and the girls were getting older and older. And so as they were starting to like kind of move into middle school, they didn't really need me as much. And so we slowly just like weaned me off hours. So I just go to their house, fewer and fewer times per week until, they were just independent. And then I could be a full-time blogger. So it was the best situation for everybody, because I didn't have to like say goodbye to them when they weren't ready to not have a nanny. And then I could still like sort of make money as I was trying to like make money on the blog. So it was the best easing into it that I could have imagined.
Yeah, totally. So did you go to college for like journalism or anything, Emily? Or how did like I think I heard in a podcast as well, like writing wasn't even something you liked.
No, it was not. I remember I did not like writing because it was such a like formula based thing. It's like in order to get an A, you had to like have this format and it had to look exactly like this. And then it was just so stale. It felt really lame, and I just wrote to get the grade and then it was done.
My mind's going to like MLA format, and I always got knocked out.
Yes, and it's like, oh my gosh, that's just like the most dry thing you could write. I guess, I mean, the information is all there, so it makes sense, but it wasn't creative, and I didn't feel like alive when I wrote something like that. So when I started the blog, all of a sudden, like I had the freedom to decide what I wrote and what I didn't, and that was just such like a fun thing for me. Oh, and in college, I didn't go for journalism. I studied South Asian studies, which is like India, Pakistan. So clearly not using that right now, but someday we'll go there again together.
Yeah.
South Asian studies, like that was just like the specific degree.
Yeah, it was. It was part of the international school, but it was like kind of a focus. And so you took regular international classes, but then you had super focused classes on like different topics.
Because they offer like specific scholarships, and Emily's really good at languages.
Yeah, I should explain that too. So I got a scholarship to study Hindi, which is the language they speak in India. And it was a fellowship. So if you wanted to study a language that like the government wanted people to know, they would pay you. And so I applied, and so I got paid to go to college to study Hindi. So in hopes that I would get a government job so they could use my skills, but I didn't. So thanks.
But you can speak it fluently?
Not anymore. I
She
mean,
used to be able to.
it's
like,
one of those things where if you
you
don't
don't
use it, you
speak it,
lose
yeah.
it. So,
but she still understands like some grammar and words and stuff, and she would recognize that and the structure.
I think if I went to India, I could survive, but I would not thrive. So,
Yeah.
After the first year, you would thrive.
I mean,
Yeah.
sure. I mean, I would pick it up again, but
Yeah.
I'm definitely not confident right now.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's like when you're immersed in it, like you can pick up on it. It's just takes time.
Yeah, and it's hard when it's like just not even in my daily life right now.
Because I remember like in the university at UW, she would be speaking it, like she would write poems and and like
You're
read
way
it to
too
her
nice to me.
read it to her teachers and professors. And I mean, I attended
I mean,
one
that
of
was
this.
part of the class. I got graded
I
for
attended
that.
one of them, and like I didn't speak any of this language, and I was just like, wow, that just sounded really good. And there was like 20 people in the class that she was like reading her poems to and stuff. So yeah,
it was fun.
It was impressive.
I definitely continued because they paid me to go to get a scholarship. So that was really helpful, and I would do it all over again too, even though I'm not using it.
Well, that looks good on a resume, no matter what, right? And just like life goals, like learn other languages, expand yourself.
Oh yeah, I really do enjoy that part. So I'm glad I did it.
And then Berty, do you speak Indonesian?
I do, yes. I speak it with my aunt a lot, so that's why I haven't
you call your mom every
lost it.
day.
And I call my mom every day now since the quarantined, because they're all in Indonesia. I try to keep up with them. But yeah, and we try to go to Indonesia once a year, and we've been back like 5 times together.
Yeah.
We've gone back 5 times together to see my family. And senior year, University of Washington, Emily learned Indonesian, so she was able to speak with my mom and stuff, and she picked it up like really fast. So she can speak Indonesian too.
So you've got some skills. Like it's not everyone can just pick up a language that quickly.
I think it's one of those things where it feels right to me. Like if I was going to take a biology class, oh my gosh, I would fail hands down. So it's just one of those things where it's like you're good at one thing, but you're not good at the other things. So it balances out, I guess.
So cool. Let's talk about your Indonesian wedding.
Yeah. That was super fun. So we got married in 2016. And because of the relationship from the US and Indonesia, Bertie's family couldn't easily come for the wedding. They would have to apply for visas and it'd be a really long process. So we just decided to kind of have a second celebration in Jakarta.
So like second reception.
So like a reception. So it wasn't like a full-blown wedding, but we did kind of the fun like ceremony.
Because a full-blown wedding would take like 3 days. And I was like, I don't want a 3-day wedding. I just want the reception.
Just the party part. We had my family come to Jakarta with us, which was really fun because my mom had been international before, but a couple of my siblings had not. So it was fun to introduce them to a new culture, but also to like my new family, I guess.
Yeah. But sometimes like it felt like too much of a culture shock to like a lot of our families too, just because I mean the culture is so different, right? Like
it was a culture shock for your family, Bertie?
For both, I would say.
For both of us.
Because like
they didn't know how to interact with my family.
100%.
We didn't know how to interact with them.
And my family is always trying to like make sure they're happy, they're having fun. But like in the US, the culture is more like it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to like in Indonesia, like if you're sad, that means it's bad. So like everyone, you have to be happy. So when they see Emily's family kind of like just looking overwhelmed, like too much information overload, my parents are like freaking out. They're like, what should we do? Like, how do we fix it? I was like, you don't have to fix anything. Just like take a deep breath. Let them hang out. Let them think. It's okay. Like they feel like they have to fix something. It's like, oh, you know, like they have to be like dancy and like smiling. But I don't know. That was like you have to navigate through that too.
It was
really fun nonetheless.
Bertie has a very large family, so it was cool to see everybody there. I think in Indonesian celebrations too, you know what family you're in by the clothes that you wear. So like a family will go to an event and they will all wear matching clothes. And so we got matching clothes for like my family that came and Bertie, and then all of his family had the same matching clothes. So it was really fun to like take a picture and it's like, look, everyone looks the same.
And then the neighbors and my dad's friends and my mom's friends, all of them came with like different clothes, obviously, but so they knew who we're associated with.
That was really fun.
Okay, so all the guests get to wear like kind of whatever they choose.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
But if you're family, you have like a special pattern and a special color that you wear to be like, I'm part of the circle that's celebrated right now.
Yeah, and I'm not like super traditional too, but like I got pretty sick of my aunt keep asking me because my aunt kind of organized, you know, like, okay, what size are you? Like all these things. I'm like, I don't care, you know, just like give me clothes or whatever. But it turned out to be like, oh man, I'm kind of glad that happened.
Yeah, you appreciated that.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, that is like a lot just to navigate. And like it can be like overwhelming at first with all the new people coming in, but
100%. Yeah, a lot of the people we didn't know. Like I never met these people, but it was more of like your parents showing off kind of like who your kids are and like showing off to the neighbors. Like we met most of the neighbors in like that Jakarta area that I've like never met. They blocked out the whole road in front of our in front of the house. So they put like, you know, tents and stuff. And so it was just like a big party.
It was really fun.
Yeah.
I love that. I love it. And I love that like your family got to go and just like share this all. So did you guys do any like big outdoor adventures when you were there for your wedding? Or have you done big outdoor adventures in Indonesia at all?
So yes, we actually try and do like one cool adventure every time we go. I would say like half the time, or even a little more than half, is family time, and then the other part is like some cool thing.
Yeah.
So our first time we went with my family, we went to Bali, and we just did the whole island of Bali, which was really fun.
And we did that with some of our friends
Yeah,
that
they,
came
like,
from
flew.
We did a whole week together.
That was
There was
so
like 8
fun.
of us. It was really fun.
Another year we went to Mount Bromo, which is like that still active volcano up in like East Java. Another year we went to a waterfall called Tumpat Sewu, which is
It's like 1,000 waterfalls.
It's called 1,000 waterfalls, but you stand there and it's like
This is like
wall
of waterfalls. It's crazy.
all around you, and then it's all coming out.
And you're just like soaked underneath there, but it's so fun. We did Labuan Bajo, which is Flores, like Komodo National Park and all of that.
And when you did these, were you camping usually?
No, we didn't ever go camping. It was always like hostels or hotels or family houses. Yeah, Indonesia's a little bit different. I don't know if I would camp.
No, yeah, a lot of the campsites it's like very remote. Yeah, it's like you are in the middle of the jungle. Yeah, it's like pretty thick jungle too. So like usually people that have like little hostels, they have it right in front of the entrance, you know, before you enter the jungle or something. So like a lot of the times we're like, oh yeah, we'll pay $2 to stay there for 1 night. Yeah,
and it's like someone's
breakfast.
home. So it's not like a formal hostel.
And that's also like a good way to meet all the locals too. Like we met a lot of people through that as well.
And they give some really good tips too. They're like, oh yeah, this one you have to like, this waterfall you have to pay for, but if you go 2 blocks that way, there's a hidden one that nobody knows about. Yeah. And so that's always fun to know.
Yeah, that's the best, getting the tips from the locals who live there rather than getting in these tourist traps. Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that, like that camping can't really be a huge hobby that people do over there.
No, it's just I feel like the combination of elements and climate just makes it way more uncomfortable than fun.
Yeah.
So it depends on where you go, of course, but I would say most of the time that's not really someone's choice hobby.
Yeah, because a lot of the wild animals are more like snakes and
scary, like
other things.
Tarantulas.
So it's like sometimes if you don't know the area, it's kind of like almost dangerous to not, you don't just want to set up your tent and sleep in the middle of the jungle and stuff.
You have some bugs waking up right next to you.
Like a tiger just
Yeah. I mean, that stuff's probably as common as like a bear here.
Yeah.
That'd be scary. So. Or monkeys. That's even scarier.
Yeah, monkeys.
Monkeys will just come and grab your stuff and run. So
they totally will. We were in Costa Rica last May for my brother's wedding, and there was a monkey that walked into someone's like room, like hotel room. They opened the door, went into the room, and took the banana, and then like the person saw them eat it.
Oh my gosh.
And they don't care because like they're so used to the people that they'll just like roam around there and whatever.
Oh my gosh, that's wild. Yeah, monkeys can get pretty brave. And
yeah. So is there like a favorite place you guys have traveled to in Indonesia?
That's a hard one because I guess there's a lot of cool places in East Java and we can just travel from the comfort of our home. Like I grew up in East Java, so like we have a house there. And a lot of the jungle there are pretty epic with like the waterfalls and the active volcanoes. And we can always stay at home and then just drive 3 hours and then hike and then come back and then drive another 3 hours.
I would say waterfalls in East Java is probably my favorite because there's just so many. Yeah,
that we just did like, a couple that we know in East Java, but there's like so many.
There's so many.
Yeah. So many and like hidden ones too, which is crazy.
Yeah, we still haven't
seen like there's no access to it. Like a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I can see it from my drone, but like there's no access to that, but it's like super epic.
Wow, I love it. Hidden places.
They're so fun.
Yeah. This whole blog thing. So basically Emily like slowly started easing off being a nanny, and Berty was in his photography business, and like Did you guys kind of have that plan all along to like merge and then become this dynamic team?
So I mean, sort of. I would say like.
I mean, we didn't have a plan to make a blog when I started photography.
Oh yeah, when Bertie started the blog,
it was just like my
happen.
own thing.
But I think what kind of sparked it was Bertie would, go on some cool adventure to some like fire lookout in Washington. He would post one picture and then move on and then post another picture of another thing. And all the photos that he took were forgotten. They were sitting on a hard drive somewhere. And people would, comment like, oh, where is this? How long did the hike take?
How hard is the hike?
How hard is it? What do I have to bring? What lens did you use? All the questions. And so I thought, like, why, just show one picture of the adventure when we could kind of write like a trip report about it in more detail and share more photos on a blog. And so that's kind of where I started to be like, well, Bertie, you could really like utilize this and share more information for people. So we started doing like hiking trails that we did and trip reports and stuff. And that was really fun. And that's where I found out that writing was actually fun for me. So I just continued to do that and I really enjoyed it. And then I started that was when I was nannying as well. And so then I was like, maybe I should do this for my job. And so that's when the whole gradual process of me becoming full-time with Bertie happened.
So that's when the Mandagies.com happened and got born.
Yep, that's when it got born. We were trying to figure out what to name it. And we were like, well, I mean, we will always have our name. So if it evolves into something else, at least we will stay consistent because we're the ones that have it. So I know it's not a very original name, but
it is very original for like.
That's true.
Yeah. I can't say I've ever heard it before I discovered you guys. So
actually, there is a very famous fashion designer. His name is Berty and Emily Mandagie, and he does the most gorgeous women's fashion I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And he's
like super
Mandagie.
famous in Indonesia, but we're not related.
No.
Probably, maybe, I don't know, but.
I wish.
Maybe, like really distant relatives.
Oh, fingers crossed. That would be cool. So that's how the blog was born.
Okay. And I mean, at that point when you started it, obviously you weren't making much money off it, right?
No. We made nothing the first year and a half or so.
Yeah, I would say we started in 2016 and we probably didn't make money until like late 2017.
Yeah, kind of like towards the end of the summer, like August. Yeah, maybe like late July, August.
Because it was, and probably still is, just trips that we like to do ourselves that we share. But 2017 was when it got kind of enough traffic to like gain some attention. And then that's when we started getting invitations from tourism boards to come out and be like, oh, we saw that you read about the Pacific Northwest. We're in the Pacific Northwest. Do you want to come out and like write about our place? And so that's when we're like, well, we can charge for this. We can like make a business and share about different destinations. And
I remember specifically after that trip too, because that was with Idaho. And then after we left, they wrote a whole piece on their like Idaho Statesman, like their local newspaper, about like the Seattle travel bloggers who visited Boise, Idaho, and here are their like, I don't know, like 30 favorite places or something like that. And then from then we got so many comments on that blog post, and so many like Boise people and just like commenting on it,
like,
and following us.
Boise is
they're like so proud that we were featuring Boise, Idaho, and then it just blew up from there. Like our traffic literally went.
I mean,
up.
You could see it in our Google Analytics. It was like ding,
boom.
Yeah.
But that was just like a viral post, so we got a lot of attention for a couple weeks. But
then we got the momentum, kind of like, oh, maybe we can do this. We can
that definitely was like really exciting. So we're like, let's keep going. This is so much fun.
Yeah.
That was like your first time that like people were like, come out here, we'll hire you, basically.
Yeah. That was 100%. Our kind of like big trip that we didn't plan ourselves, and we're like, ooh, this is fun. We were like writing about a place and being real travel writers. So, and then from there, it just kind of picked up, and
And then you kind
what
of
we do
start
now.
seeing like different opportunities, you know, it's like, oh, maybe we could pitch it to this company or like this destination. So, and then you start being inspired by all of those and things just start to happen after that.
So that's what you started doing, pitching yourselves to other companies after that?
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
We would look at destinations that we'd like to go and then find the contact and kind of say, hey, this is our blog. This is what we write about. We'd love to cover your destination. This is what we can do, XYZ. This is what we can write about. This is what we can deliver you. Let's talk. Then people say yes, people say no. And then we just do.
You get a lot of no's, but
Lots of no's.
the yes is the most important one. So that's fine.
And do you find that a lot of people come reaching out to you guys, or do you have to do the outreach more so?
I would say it is a really good middle.
Yeah, right.
We definitely continue to reach out to people and destinations that we personally would like to visit and we think we would mesh really well with us. And then we kind of filter the offers that come in to us and see if it is a good fit, or if this product is a good fit for our brand, or if this destination makes sense for our audience. So definitely a good mix of both.
Yeah, and a lot of the tourism boards that we work with too, they have the same agency. So like if we work, let's say, we actually worked a trip with a destination Cleveland. We went to Cleveland, Ohio. We did a really good job with them, and South Dakota had the same agency, and they're like, do you guys want to go to South Dakota now? And stuff like that. And then it just started to happen like that as well, because they have the same agency, the same inside people.
Yeah, it's really fun to slowly build your network of people like in different parts of the tourism industry to, I don't know, make friends and network and just have a relationship with. It's really fun.
Well, yeah. And just like in any business, it's about who you know
100%.
and knowing people and making those connections. This is so cool to hear. Like, I've never really like talked this in depth with people who do this for a living.
Oh yeah.
So when you do these trips, are they like totally paid for, like your hotels, your flight, like your food, everything just totally paid for?
Yes. It's just part of the package. I mean, every client is different, but what it is, you know, they want us to come out and cover their destination on our blog. And so we decide what kind of deliverables that we give them. And in return, they host us, you know, they fly us out there, they give us the rental car, they set up the like adventures. Sometimes you have to like book tours and stuff. So they do all the handling there, and then we just get to go experience and document the whole adventure for our readers.
And then once we delivered all of the promise that we said we would deliver, then they would pay us our fee.
That's so cool. And do you ever like just travel for fun?
Yes,
all the time.
And that's how it started too. Like we didn't get the Boise job by not working. They didn't just suddenly reach out to us. Like that was because
we went to Idaho.
We went to Idaho
and they saw our other Idaho content. So yeah, I would say more than not, most of our blog posts are about, you know, trips that we like to take ourselves, which is really fun. So
that's something we didn't want to lose, you know, like just because we are getting paid to do certain things, like we still love traveling. Like we love car camping. Like we like to just drive from Seattle to Utah and spend 3 weeks in the car and doing every sunrise, every sunset, eat really cheap gas station coffee, everything. Like we love that stuff. So
is there any trips you've done, like have you ever been paid to go camping and write blogs on that?
We haven't. Most of the stuff they just have a spot
I would
place
say
for us to
say that the only times that we would get paid to go camping is if like a product were to come our way and say, hey, we want, you know, you to feature this camping tool or this backpack or something. And then we would say, okay, let's think of like an adventure that we could do that makes sense with that product. And then that would be kind of like the package on delivering those things, but we would go camping with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like use our product and write us a review type thing. Yeah. Let's talk about like working together. Are there any challenges of working together as a husband and wife, or has it been pretty smooth?
I think for us, it has been a smooth process, but I feel like we're unique in that because we had our very predefined duties from the beginning. Berty has always been the photo editor, and he always will be, and I will always be the writer. And so we kind of have our own tasks, and we don't like infiltrate the other
Mhm.
person's business while they're working on it. So that has been really good for us to connect that
Yeah.
way and work together well.
Yeah, I think we're pretty self-aware of like our strengths and weaknesses. Just like, I know that I'm strong in like editing my photos, taking the photographs, but I'm very weak in like writing. So I will never write a blog post. I mean, I'll tell Emily like, oh, I think it should be fun to write these ideas. And then she could turn it down or like actually write it. But Emily is really good at, writing and coming up with new ideas, and just, she's really good at the behind the scenes of the blog too, like the SEO and the coding and of the website and everything. So,
And that's not to say though that we don't have our fights, because
we definitely
when
have
we
our
fight,
fights,
it's very passionate, and we stick to our sides, and we're really stubborn. But the good thing about, us and our relationship is, if something is the matter, it is never stuffed away. It is always like yelling and to the front of the conversation. So while I think our arguments are like way more passionate and angry than other people's, they're like solved quicker for us.
Yeah. And we learned to do that better throughout the years as well. So the first time we worked together, we obviously had so many conflicts and not knowing how to work together. But the more we do it together, the more
the more that we understand like how we work and our boundaries and what's okay and what's not. I feel like we fight less now, but being business partners, also being married, is like, it's hard to kind of find that line of when are we business partners and when are we husband and wife.
Well, sure. Yeah. Like finding that balance. Cause I know that's something like even my husband and I like have been slowly trying to navigate and figure out, like, because like we love doing this podcast and like talking about it, but like sometimes we're just like, whoa, let's talk about something else.
Yeah. It is hard to like not talk about work when we're together, but it has helped that like we're in quarantine right now. We're talking about our yard all the time and cooking meals together. So I mean, it's kind of been good for our marriage, I guess.
Well, right. And working together, like you learn each other's, like you have to work with each other's strengths and weaknesses so much. And that carries over so much in a relationship as well.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah. I'm thankful for Berty. I mean, I don't think I would work well with anyone as well as I do Berty. So I'm really thankful we're business partners too.
Likewise.
So starting the whole business, like after how long do you think you were able to sustainably live off of this blogging life?
I officially left my job as a nanny in January 2018. And so that's when both of us started. This was like our only income. And I would say that is when we could make money. Yeah.
And at the time, my photography business was pretty sustainable. Like it wasn't like, so we were able to take a chance on, Emily, like, why not do it full time?
That's true. We're also pretty good savers too.
Yeah,
so
we save a lot of our money. We rarely spend it unless we really, really want to go somewhere that we've never been. Yeah,
I'm a big like self-preservation person. So I always have kind of like a rainy day stash and make sure we have enough savings just in case like something happens. So we've always been good at saving our money and being smart with our purchases.
Actually, correction, you've always been good at saving. Not me. I was the opposite before I met Emily.
At least one of you is.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
Someone to learn from. Yeah.
He spends it well, I save it well.
I can spend it really well. So.
Yeah, I would say January 2018 is when we could make it work because he was shooting weddings at the time. And so that was sustainable enough while we could start to set up a little bit more of a foundation for the blog as well.
So that's when you quit the nanny job and gave it your all.
Yeah.
And were you guys nervous about that? Because your income must be different every month.
Yes, it is. But I think we made a really smart decision from the start to have a lot of different channels of income so that if something failed, it wouldn't be the end of the world. So Berty had his wedding clients, which was like really consistent in the summertime. We have affiliate income. We have ad income, ad revenue on our blog. We have a lot of different ways of making money. So, if there's a down season in something, there's an up season in something else.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, and with this season, with the whole COVID thing, I can only imagine that the blogging world, like a lot of bloggers are doing fantastic right now.
So yes and no, actually. Food bloggers are doing the best they've ever done because everybody is at home baking, making bread, like cooking meals at home. So they're like on cloud nine, making all the money. Travel bloggers have suffered a lot, especially international travel bloggers, because nobody's flying, nobody's driving. So it is a little bit of, we definitely felt a hit in our traffic when it came to COVID-19.
Yeah, it literally, the second it happened, the first week was like, it just went
Oh yeah,
slowly.
you can see on Google Analytics just the downward turn, like the nosedive of the traffic.
Like, oh no. But slowly
that's where the different avenues of income or diversifying our income has come in handy. Also, the saving has come in handy.
Yeah, I would have thought that like with COVID, people have so much time on their hands that they're like, I'm going to plan my next trip for when I can go out into the world.
Yeah, I think the attitude kind of has changed. Come late April, May, people are starting to get a little more antsy and restless in their house. So we have seen an upturn in traffic.
Yeah, the past 2 weeks
it hasn't recovered, since its pre-COVID numbers, but people are still trying to get outside. And I think the more popular topics now are local travel, which is really a blessing for us because we don't do a lot of international trips. We do a lot of road trips around the Pacific Northwest, things to see in Washington, things to see in Oregon. So
Canada is international.
Oh, yeah. Well, the border's closed now.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think
we have Canadian readers.
We're really thankful that we have kind of a pocket of the world to talk to rather than trying to talk to the whole world. So that has been helpful in kind of still keeping people engaged in trip planning during this time.
So would you say that having that niche has helped you even long before COVID as well?
Yeah, It really has. I think we've definitely established like a voice here, and with so many like topics and blog posts and hikes and trip reports in the Pacific Northwest, I feel like people who are searching for this content can kind of find everything that they need on our blog, which I think is really helpful for readers.
Yeah. Do you find that there's a lot of other bloggers in that Pacific Northwest area, or is it a pretty small percentage?
I would say in the giant blogging world, we're a very small percentage. I have a Pacific Northwest, like Seattle bloggers group that I'm a part of on Facebook. And so there's a lot of really amazing people and really great writers here. So it has been fun to like have that community with them. There's not a ton of us, but the people that are here are like quality, awesome writers. So I'm privileged to be among them too.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool that it's like a small amount, because that like only helps you guys with like the traffic and the people that are going to want your information that you're sharing with everyone.
Yeah, that's true. We're really thankful for that small niche that we have. We don't cover everything, but what we do cover, we cover deeply and well. So I'm proud about that.
Yeah. From what I've like seen and read, it looks like I could go on there and easily have my trip planned the second I get out there.
Oh, that's the goal.
That's awesome.
Yeah. When I get out there one day.
Oh yeah.
I was out in Oregon like 2 years ago.
What part of Oregon?
Portland.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, mainly just that area. We did one hike, but it was mainly just the city. Yeah, the city was so fun in itself.
Oh yeah, I love the city. There's so many cool restaurants and like coffee shops.
The food
there.
scene there, it's so good.
Oh my gosh, the food trucks. Yeah, we had the best noodles. This woman was like twirling these noodles. It was called stretch the noodle. So she would make the noodle in front of you and just like twirl them and stretch them. And
Ooh.
That's awesome.
Oh, I'm hungry now.
I know.
Yeah.
My stomach's growling.
Yeah.
So, Berty, what do you love about photography? And is there anything that you don't love about photography?
Yeah, simply put, like the things that I love most about photography is the capturing of moments. The capturing of like moments that in my head I was like, man, this is gonna be like hard to replicate the feelings again. That's why I want to capture it to be able to look back to it and reminds me of that feeling. So that's like in its simplicity form what it means to me. The things I don't like about photography is this happens to me all the time too. Like it's supposed to be simple, but with all these like new gears keep coming out, you kind of like, I don't know, get caught up in the, oh, I don't have a good camera, I need a better camera. But then I have to keep reminding myself, like when I first started photography, I started with my iPhone, and the gear that I have is like what I need to capture whatever moments I'm trying to capture. So that's the only thing I don't like about photography is the technology aspect of it, I guess. I don't know, but it just messes with you mentally. That the fact that you need a newest gear, you need a better one.
Yeah. Well, and gosh, isn't that true of like even camping gear? Like the second you get like this
100%.
great
Yeah.
high tech like solar charger, they come out with a new one.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So do you have like a backpack that you bring all of your camera gear in when you go on these trips?
Yeah, I like to bring the most minimal setup as possible, maybe like 2 lens tops and just one body. Unless I'm doing like a commercial project or a wedding, like I'll bring my backup camera bodies. But typically on like our trips and stuff, Emily would have a camera, I'd have a camera.
We'd each have like another lens.
Yeah, and with like the big lens that we have for it, you know, if we have encounter with like a bear or something or like an eagle, we just have it in the car sometimes or in our Airbnb if we stay in Airbnb. So we never carry that with us. But yeah, like very minimal setup and just focusing on the things that we're trying to capture. So
that takes so much patience. My husband and I bought this like attachment for our Android phone once, thinking like, oh, we'll get better pictures. And even that, like, we didn't really have patience to like attach it when there was like this cool animal we saw. We're like, I don't want to take the time to sit here and attach it. So I have so much respect for photographers to just sit there and like put it all together.
Yeah. Or sometimes it's like below freezing temperature and you're like, I don't want to change the lens right now, you know, like I just want to make sure I have the exact lens that I need before I snap the photograph.
Yeah. And what about you, Emily, in writing? What do you love about it and what do you not so much love about it?
I really like the fact that I get to like bring our personality into our blog and also give people really good information at the same time. That's really fun for me because I don't want it to be like a diary, but I don't want it to be like Lonely Planet facts, you know, just straight, here's the stuff. So I really like, you know, bringing our like essence and adventure to writing. Mm-hmm. My least favorite part.
You have so many ideas.
I mean, yeah, I have so much in my brain that I want to write about, and there's only so much time in the day. So that is definitely the worst part because I just am so upset that I can't get to everything. Prioritizing sometimes is very difficult for me. I want to do it all.
Yeah, but that's what creative minds are for, right? Just always going, always going.
Oh, yeah. There's so many notes on my phone, like when we're walking and I'm like, oh, that's a great blog post idea. And I'll write it down or something.
That is such a, like, that's a talent to have though, because like we have like a very small blog. We only post things like once a month and we try to make them factual, but like I do a lot of the writing and like, I just like writing like my feelings out and things. And like sometimes like, yeah, finding a balance between like the factual and like bringing your own personal like identity into it. I mean,
it's difficult. Yeah.
But clearly you found an amazing balance because you guys are living this life.
Yeah, it's really fun. I wouldn't want to do anything else.
And like, so you guys kind of plan to do this for the foreseen future at least?
Yeah, I would say that, I mean, it's going to evolve as our family evolves. Like, you know, we'll probably talk more about traveling with a kid, you know, when we start to have our own family. That's the beauty of having it called the Mandagies. It's like if we want to pursue another thing, like we can just keep on evolving with that, you know, on our blog. So
yeah, it's a very sustainable name.
Yeah, that's true. That's the word I was looking for earlier, sustainable.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll evolve. But I think we just both find joy in different ways on just sharing our experience online. So in one way or another, I think we're always going to do something like this.
Mm-hmm.
You never see yourselves kind of going back to like a 9 to 5?
I don't think we'll work for anybody else
No.
again, at least right now. Like, it's just so freeing to work for ourselves. So it's really
you
hard
get to set your own schedule, and you get to plan your trips. And
yeah, it would be hard to work for somebody else. I mean, it depends on the company, I guess, but it's fun working for yourself.
Yeah, I can't say we do it. I mean, we only do very minimal. So I love hearing how people operate it.
Yeah. Totally.
How about like this lifestyle and changing your outlook on life overall? I mean, we kind of just covered that, but is there anything else that how this has changed your outlook on life and perspective?
Yeah. I mean, I'll go. Like when I first started photography too, when I got into it, I was so fascinated by it. So I always tell myself, like, what is this something like that makes me truly, truly happy and brings me joy every day? And I would be like, probably taking photos every day. And I think the way I look at life, obviously everyone has different talents and has different things that they like that brings them joy. And I talk to my friends about this all the time, and not that I'm trying to get them out of their 9 to 5, but like if they truly love to do what their 9 to 5, like you should do it fully. But if you are like dreading your 9 to 5, you should rethink about that. You should think about stuff that makes you truly happy and brings you joy. Whether that helps people or, traveling or writing books or writing songs or whatever, and just go 100% of that. And I hope that's like something that I instill when we have our kids and stuff, like the fact that they should be able to do what they want for a living. Obviously that's a privilege too. Not everyone can say like, oh, I'm going to do everything that I want for a living. Obviously there are like steps that you gotta do, but
yeah, I mean, I think that's a really powerful message. Like people do have the power to make choices and do what they want. And you guys are taking advantage of that because we do live in the USA where we luckily have the privilege to do
100%.
that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I have friends in Indonesia that I can't say that to them because they were, born into poverty and all these things. Like, it's not as easy as just like quit everything you do and follow your dreams or whatever. It's much more complicated steps than that, but I still think it's possible, but it definitely takes more effort.
Yeah. Speaking of that, like, what does your Indonesian family think of this lifestyle and the blogging lifestyle?
Man.
Because I mean, the blogging lifestyle isn't really a thing in Indonesia, correct?
Not at all. No. I mean, anything outside of like, if you don't go to university, get your degree and not use your degree, that's almost like a failure. It's so rare for someone to like start their business and then work for their business. But yeah, I had to do a lot of convincing. My mom was very supportive in the beginning, but my dad was the opposite. He was like, how are you going to get a real job? Like, you don't even have a certificate to like prove that you're a real photographer. I'm like, I don't need a certificate. Like, my photo is kind of like my certificate in a sense. But my dad's like, no, you need like someone from a school to sign that you're a photographer. Like, he was very like old school in his like thinking. So I'm like, Dad, no, it doesn't. It's like, at the time it was like 2016. It's 2016. It's like so different. But that went on for like 2 years or something until like, I was able to, I don't know, it's kind of like a flex, I guess, but I showed him kind of like my bank statements, like, look, this is how I made this month, and next month is going to be this. And my dad's like, oh, it's a real job. It is a real job. I've been telling you for the past 2 years. So anyway, so took a lot of convincing on my Indonesian family side, but they're full support now.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, if you don't grow up with that perspective and have people around you doing that, it totally makes sense that he had some skepticism about it.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Does your family support all this too, Emily?
Yeah, they do. I think they were early on the supportive train. However, I think parents just have questions in general. Like, are you really going to do this forever? Is this just a hobby? Like, how are you making money? So
yeah.
I've been slowly, I guess, not educating them. They're not like uneducated, but just telling them like
educating them about our job.
Yeah,
and
here's
kind of
what
the
we
world.
do.
Yeah.
Here are the ways that I make money. Here are the different types of things that I'm doing. So they're a lot more supportive and they understand it, which is kind of fun because they're both not very social media savvy, but they have social media just so they can like look at my stuff and support my stuff. So when I share something, they'll text me, "Oh, I really like your new blog post," and they're the cutest. I love it.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah, it's so funny just like the different generations and how they see things. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they didn't grow up with the internet, so like the internet is like
That's
fairly a
true.
new thing.
The internet changed a lot.
yeah, I know. And especially like with COVID again, like, so I'm a teacher, so I've been like online, and not to mention it's preschool. So like online teaching preschool has just been,
Oh man.
I hate it.
What do you do? Like how?
Well, we don't do a lot of live things. I only do one live thing a week with them.
Okay.
Other than that, I just record myself and send myself reading a book or singing a song or teaching a social emotional lesson. But yeah, when Bertie was talking about like lifestyle and how it's like shaped your outlook, like, and you were saying like you should be doing things that you love, like teaching kids is like what I genuinely love. And when I started working from home, teaching from home, I was like, I hate this. Like,
that's interesting.
Like sitting on a computer and like staring
like it's
at
not
a
what you
screen.
signed up for.
Exactly. Like I was like getting headaches the first few days. I was like, I can't stand staring at a screen. How do people do this?
Yeah, that's so wild. I hope you get to go back to school soon.
Well, it's not happening this year.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, but maybe
hopefully
next
in the
year.
fall.
Yeah, but it is so true. Like when you're doing something that you love, it really does make a huge difference.
I agree.
Is there any big way that this has shaped your life, Emily, and just outlook?
I found it actually. This is kind of a weird answer to your question, but I found that I've made so many genuine friendships online, and I've met so many people, and my like range of connection has expanded a lot, which has been so fulfilling for me. I am a big time extrovert, so I love like meeting other bloggers in person and getting coffee with them, or like meeting readers if they ever are passing through Spokane, we go get coffee with them, or just like making online friends. It's just like made my life so much more fulfilled that I enjoy that aspect of it. And so I find that the internet has definitely shaped my life for the better.
I love that, like grabbing coffee with readers.
Oh, it's the funnest. It is so fun. People will DM us on Instagram, I'm coming through Spokane. We're like, let's get coffee. I love those times. It's so fun to hear people's like stories and where they're going, and it's the best.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. Like when people like genuinely like want to connect with someone that they just see online and just like have been following for so long. And
yeah. And I commend them too. It takes a lot of like courage to DM somebody, because if I was passing through like a city of like somebody that I really admired online, I don't think I would do it. That would scare me. I would be like, what if they don't like me? What if they say no? But
that is so true. When we started this podcast last summer, we started it when we were like on our road trip, and there was like this Instagram account that I loved and followed. They were from Ohio. And I was like, I want to message them. I really want them on our podcast. But I was so nervous. So nervous. But yeah, they wrote back. We met up and it was so awesome.
Oh, I love that.
Cool.
I love it when things like that happen. And I think more often than not, like people will say yes, because we're just humans that like to connect with other humans. So
that's so true. And that's like a huge thing. We're just humans. Like everybody in social media is a human. They have a life.
Yeah, totally. And they share what they want and they don't share what they want. So
like it was cool when I started seeing your guys' stories of like gardening and like yard work. I was like, oh, they do stuff besides just travel.
Yeah, that was a way that we're like, oh my gosh, how are we gonna like continue to work?
We're capable at digging the ground ourselves.
We can work on the yard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like a total shift for like what you were portraying yourselves.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's
That's
fun.
awesome.
So how about Pacific Northwest travel? What are some like top places you would tell people to go if they've never been there?
So I think it depends on the region, but I'm just going to go with if you're going to Seattle, I would definitely check out the Olympic National Park because there's just
There's so
so
many.
many opportunities to do so many iconic PNW things.
It's like very diverse. Like you'll
Yeah.
find a classic Pacific Northwest beaches.
Yeah.
You'll find like rainforest. You'll find mountains. Lakes, like still lakes, reflection lakes. Like
Yeah, there's a backpacking trail where you can go to like this boarded up cool ranger station in the middle of the forest. Like you can seek out the even like, step out of your car adventures or hike 2 days adventures and then
could
kind
you
of
even backpack along the coast, like along the beach and stuff.
Yeah. And even closer to Seattle is Mount Rainier National Park just south of us, south of Seattle. And North Cascades
National Park
just north
too.
of us.
Oh.
Seattle. So there's just so many opportunities to do so many cool things just from Seattle. So if someone was trying to go to the Pacific Northwest and just get their feet wet, I'd go to Seattle.
And is it true that it's like just be prepared for rain?
Yes.
Yeah, but the rain, it's not like a downpour. It's just constantly rain.
It's just
like
gray skies.
And kind of like it just hits you,
like
mist. Just like it just gets annoying over time. But it's not like
I would
super
say,
hard downpour.
Yeah, June, July, August, you probably get the best weather. But anytime after that, for sure, you should be packing your rain jacket.
But here's the thing: like sometimes hiking in the rain is one of the best hikes because no one is out usually, so you'll have most of the place to yourself. And I like doing it in the rain.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I like the gloominess, and it just brings
it's like
that
the true
mood.
Pacific Northwest weather, I guess.
Yeah,
with the fog rolling through. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's so true. Some of my like fondest memories are just like hiking through fog and rain, and then like at the very end of your hike, there's like a beautiful sunshine.
Yeah, that happens all the time because the weather changes constantly here.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Do you guys have a place that you like? It's like your go-to hike whenever you're like, let's go take a hike. Do you have a go-to?
We're kind of navigating that territory now as
in Spokane
because we kind of had those go-to hikes in Seattle, but now
in Seattle our go-to would be like Olympic National Park. If someone were to visit us like, hey, we want like a whole day adventure, we're like, let's go to Olympic National Park. We'll take the ferry across and then we'll do the whole hike the whole day, and then we come back at like midnight. And then
another good thing is from Seattle you can go just directly east to the Cascades, and in like an hour's drive you could probably hit so many trailheads. I can't even count how
like
many.
The Snoqualmie Pass area and stuff.
The
North Bend and
lots of cool like hidden lakes and fire lookouts and trails and overlooks and stuff. So Seattleites are spoiled.
Yeah, I know, you guys got it all. So besides like maybe a rain jacket, is there anything people traveling there should bring if they're specifically planning outdoor adventure?
Headlamps
for sure. That way you can go wake up early and like catch a sunrise at a cool spot.
Or like sunset, you're hiking to the top and then you have to hike back down. Because the sunsets are beautiful.
Also, more practical, I would definitely pack waterproof rain boots. Not rain boots, but like hiking boots, because nothing is worse than wet socks. So
and multiple socks, just in case you get wet socks.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I guess those would be my things.
Yeah, the essentials.
We always like to bring like a thermos of coffee to drink at the top, so that's fun too.
And a camera.
Not with like a million lenses, maybe just my Android.
Oh yeah, even just your
yeah, but the wet socks, wet boots. I think that, gosh, that goes for like definitely hiking here in Minnesota too.
Oh yeah, I think no matter where you go.
Does it rain pretty hard there?
It can, yeah. There's definitely days where it'll pour rain, especially like spring and fall can get really gloomy and wet.
Yeah, I feel like Seattle rain is just or even Pacific Northwest in general is low key rain, but it's prolonged over like a much longer period of time.
Yeah. It's like for a week straight, it's just like mist.
Yeah.
And gloomy.
Yeah, the mist. Like, yeah, when ours comes, it's not, I mean, it can be misty, but like we get some pretty hard rain around these seasons.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah. Or sometimes snow.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
That's awesome.
What tips do you have for someone who would want to start a blog? Like someone who's like, should I quit my job and make this?
I shared this somewhere else, but okay, if you are somebody who's wanting to start a blog, you have to love what you write about. Because if you're just writing for money, it is going to get old so quickly and you're going to hate it. And it's going to feel like a 9-to-5 that you're stuck in because you just have to do it. So if you can find joy in something and something you're super passionate about, it can be literally any topic. But if you love what you write about, you won't ever work a day in your life again. It's really fun. So I would say definitely start one, but really love what you write.
So like after you guys like are on one of your trips, you come home, you have to work and write your blog. Do you ever suffer from like writer's block, or are you just like so motivated?
I would say definitely fresh after a trip. I'm like way too excited to like do anything else but write. But after a while, like I think we've had a couple days here during quarantine where it's not writer's block, but it's just a lack of motivation. And so I have to give myself like permission to just step away for the day and do something else. And then once, I have that like feeling to write again, then I'll get back on the computer. But I never try and make it feel forced. It's like, I'll just write when I
And throughout
want.
the trip too, like I would be driving and Emily would be writing on her computer.
True,
so like she would have like this fresh ideas off of like the hike that we just did or something. And she would just like be stoked to come home to like write again. Which is crazy. Like sometimes I'm like, man, I would not be that stoked to write about stuff like that.
Well, you do the same thing.
I know,
We're driving in the car.
photography, I like editing.
He's like editing photos in the car.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess that's true.
To each his own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, each one of you brings your strength to the team.
Yeah, I'm thankful for that, for sure.
Yeah. I know you said you stand out from like, because you're in the Pacific Northwest. Is there any other ways that you feel your blog stands out?
I know that when we first started it, the two more important things that we were like, we have to have, like we can't like lie about this, and like just 100% honesty is like, one, I really want to keep producing like quality photographs. And I believe like with Emily's writing and with the quality photographs that I'm trying to produce, like we can stand out in that sense. We just don't like to cut corners of like, oh yeah, whatever, we'll use this photo. But we make sure like everything that we put out is quality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would just piggyback on that. I do agree. I feel like I am very thankful that we have two people doing the job of kind of one business, because a lot of bloggers are like a one-woman, one-man show. And so they are the photographer, the writer, the marketer, the everything person. And so being able to do two of the jobs separately, fully, has really helped us like kind of bring a quality that we are proud to show to the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's huge, especially like just like the quality of it, because that's so true when I think about other bloggers. I mean, they post like great content, but it might not be a high quality photo. It's just like whatever they snapped quick on their iPhone.
Yeah, there's a lot of great people out there, and I totally commend people for doing all the jobs.
Yeah.
But it is nice to not have to worry about one piece of the puzzle when, someone does it way better.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I couldn't imagine just doing it on my own, like, I mean, writing in general, but.
Yeah, I couldn't write the blog without Bertie's photos, because I wouldn't edit the photos. I wouldn't take them. It's just so much work.
Yeah, that's so cool how well you guys do it together and successfully.
Yeah, thank you.
Any final tidbits of inspiration or wisdom? Anything we didn't touch on?
Wisdom.
Wisdom. Well, I know a lot of people talk about like the blogging world being a saturated place. And while it is, I still don't agree with the fact that people shouldn't be bloggers just because it's saturated. I feel like everyone can bring their own unique take on something or their own unique voice or their perspective on literally whatever topic it is. So if you are interested in starting a blog, don't let the saturation deter you from putting your passion online, because somebody will connect with you and somebody will understand your perspective, and that's totally worth it. So that's what I have to say.
That's awesome.
And do you think that when people do start that, I mean, for you, was it frustrating at first to kind of gain your followers at first? Because any blogger starting out is going to go through start getting their audience.
Totally. It takes a lot of risk and a lot of humility. I mean, you know, when you first start something, a lot of people are like, oh, that's, you know, not going to get off the ground. Or you have to start with your family and friends and the people on Facebook that will see your posts. So it is a little scary to like kind of risk that and put yourself in that vulnerable position of like, please share my stuff. But, you know, the people who love you will support you. So I would say that it is scary, but it's worth the risk to just like start. Because, you know, people don't wake up one day and then have 100 million followers on Instagram. It's like, you just got to show up every day for 10 minutes and continue to just keep sharing stuff that you enjoy, because someone will continue to see it every day. And yeah.
And that's another thing too, like consistency, like whatever you start with, like the more consistent you are, the better you will be.
Because I think people will expect things from you and they'll know that you are going to provide them content day after day.
Yeah, because if you're doing it for like a week straight, you know, you're like blog high, you know, you want to start your travel blog for the week, I'm going to do it. And then the next week you're like, oh man, that was like, I didn't get any traction from it. But that's why the message of Emily saying like, it has to be something you love instead of like something that you're trying to get traffic from. It's like a completely different perspective in that.
Gosh, you guys are inspiring me. Yeah, such good stuff. Start with what you love and keep going at it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like really hard. Like that's why not a lot of people do it. You know, sometimes you're like, oh, anyone can do it. Like, sure, if anyone like are willing to put in the work, like that's the thing. That's the only difference is like, are you willing to put in the work and the other person is not? So sometimes the difference is just that, just like being able to show up and do the work.
Yeah, because I don't remember what the percentage is, but like there's like a percentage of people that'll like start blogs or podcasts and like they give up so quickly because they haven't gained those followers or those listeners. And like you said, it's just sticking to it and showing up every day.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. Like it's really hard. Like I bet with like, you know, if we were to start a podcast, like
that'd be really hard.
It'd be really hard to just like consistently, you know, reach out to people and getting all these interviews and doing the interviews, editing them. Like that's hard stuff. So like, but you're like, if you're consistent with that, I feel like that's what separates you from the people who are not consistent. So
yeah, totally. And like you said, like it helps to have two of us doing what we're doing too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 100%.
That's so true.
Yeah. I could never do what my husband does, the editing part. That would give me a headache.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you get to chat with people and do Zoom calls. That's the fun part.
And then you're like, oh, suddenly it's done.
Yeah, exactly. The talking to people and just learning about people is my passion. I love it.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we've talked on a lot. I mean, I think we've touched on so much.
Like, I don't think I've ever talked about my Indonesia family as much as
so
you
true.
asked. So
I just think that's so like unique too. And I was like, I just think diversity on the trail is sometimes really hard to come across. Like I don't see a lot of diversity on the trail. So like as a diverse couple, like how do people see you on the trail, or how do you think people are seeing you on the trail?
I've never really thought about that before.
Yeah, I've never personally encountered that specifically. But I have noticed that like I don't see a lot of, diverse couple, or like even if like you're not as diverse, but if you are not aware of like the outdoor, the beauty of the outdoor, sometimes it's like pretty scary to get started on the outdoor, because there are groups that can be like, oh, you don't have the right shoes, you don't have the right gear, like what are you doing? You're wearing basketball shorts to hike. I feel like there's a lot of judgment on that. Sometimes that I see, and that can be really scary if it's like your first time hiking. Well, you don't have the right shoes, you're wearing sandals, like what? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'll see like people hiking out here and like they might not have the right gear, but they're getting out there and doing it.
Yeah.
And good for them to be using the trails that are public and open to anyone.
100%.
That's just something I think about a lot. Like, I don't know, I just like studying diversity and culture, and I'm just really into that, maybe naturally as a teacher, I don't know. But it's something I think about a lot, and just like the lack of diversity I do see on the trails in Minnesota especially. And part of it I think is because those people aren't necessarily raised in a household where that's the norm. Like going outside isn't the norm. But like for Emily and me, for example, like growing up in camping, like she said at the beginning, that's what we did.
Yeah. Sometimes I tell my friends in Indonesia about like camping and stuff, and some of them's like, dude, so many people are like trying to live in a house instead of like living outside in a tent. Like, why are you trying to live outside in a tent? Because you have like, I don't know.
House.
Yeah, you have a house. You don't need to live outside. So like that perspective is super valid too. It's like sometimes we do have too much privilege in a sense that like, oh, we don't have to think about where our food is going to come from, where we are going to stay tonight or stuff like that. And some people, like, they have no choice but to live outside in a tent. But for some people, it's like a recreational, extra fun thing. So I think just being aware that like we carry that privilege is like pretty powerful to kind of like open up our perspective and what's going on.
Yeah, that's absolutely so true, because people are forced to live outside and forced to ration their food.
Yeah.
But here we are doing it for fun.
Yeah. The idea of like living outside is like the opposite.
Yeah.
Of what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah. So, I mean, is diversity, you don't see a lot of diversity on the trails there?
I think it really depends on the locations that we are in.
I noticed that like a lot of my photographer friends who are a diverse group, because of photography, they are wanting to go outside and catch more sunrises and stuff like that, which is awesome. But I haven't personally like been affected by being a diverse couple. Like no one has said anything to me, but I do remember vaguely when I was like when I first moved to the US, where I was like wearing basketball shorts hiking, and a couple was like looking at me and like kind of pointing at my shorts and stuff, and it's like, oh, just a stupid high schooler or middle schooler that is not wearing the right attire or doesn't have the right jacket. I've definitely felt those before. But
yeah, definitely. I definitely do. When people aren't wearing the proper footwear, I definitely will kind of look at them and just think to myself, you need proper footwear. Because I do see a lot of like new to hiking people wearing like flip-flops on a trail. And I'm just like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you're going to hurt your feet after a while.
Yeah.
Yes, totally. Yeah, well, that's kind of cool to hear that perspective, because that's always something I kind of think about out on the trails. Like, why isn't there more diversity out here?
And I think that's what we're trying to do with our blog too, is trying to make outdoors somewhat more accessible to everyone. So not just, I don't know, the people that like to travel, but just like to inspire them to get outside. And that has been our biggest message in starting the blog is, like the outdoor has no limits. Like you can be from any country and you would still experience the beauty of it.
Yeah. One of the things that something that we think about when we write something is I want someone to come off of that blog post being like, oh my gosh, I can do that.
Mm-hmm. Like attainable is one of the words we use.
One of the words we use. People feel like equipped. They know where they're going. They know how to get there. They know what to wear. They know what to expect. They can go and do it themselves. So I like that about our blog,
Yeah. And it's, again, like you make it easy to read. Like it's very factual and informative, but at the same time, they're like personable.
That's good to hear from somebody
Yeah, I don't like reading like intensely factual things. So when there's like a little bit of like personality thrown into it, I'm like, okay, I can do this.
Totally. Yeah. Someone's done it too.
Yes. Oh, well, awesome. We've gone all over the world.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was super fun to talk to you guys.
Thank you so much for having us, Sarah. This has been really fun.
Yeah, I've loved chatting with you guys. You guys are
Yeah.
fun. We'll come meet you in person one day.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it.
It's totally going to happen.
We love sharing these stories with you through the Hiking Through Life podcast, and we're so grateful that you listen to this podcast. If you'd like to support the Hiking Through Life podcast further, we have these amazing new t-shirts and water bottles. The t-shirts come in 4 colors, and the water bottles are perfect for trails, adventuring, or daily use. Consider checking them out at hikingthroughlife.net/shop.
Use the code PODCAST and receive 10% off your first order.
You've been listening to the Hiking Through Life podcast. Peace, love, and hike through life.